Hello everyone, I'm Kevin, always known as Forum BX257, your friendly neighborhood vintage G.I. Joe toy reviewer, but today I'm going to be taking a look at some more modern G.I. Joe licenses from the Jada Toys company. And this stuff originally came out between 2020 and 2021, but it's been kind of a while since I've actually done a video, so my usual face-to-face intro of this was kind of time sensitive, so I've just abandoned that, and I'm just doing an intro just like this. Nonetheless, I'm going to be taking a look at a kind of a random selection of Jada Toys metal miniatures. Now, these two are the most common stuff that you'll actually find on the aftermarket. And while when I took a look at the stuff that they had shown to Toy Fair back in the early 2020, I was kind of excited because, I mean, hey, it's a good brand name, and metal die-cast miniatures of G.I. Joe vehicles was really up my alley. I'll start off with opening the metal figurines first. For the 6-pack, they gave us 2 good guys and 4 bad guys, which is kind of a strange arrangement, but there we have it. The sizes actually range because some of the figures are kind of standing like Duke here, but kind of crouched like Snake Eyes. So you have approximately 1 3/4 inches high, or about 4.5 centimeters tall on average. Now I'd like to run through these really quickly, more than I would have liked to have. I would have liked to have explored these in a little more detail in this video, but there's a lot of other figures that I want to cover here. But you'll notice that while they got the colors right, what they painted and how they painted it is very strange. Duke should at least have his bandolier colored in. I have no idea why they skimped on that, and I have no idea why they added metallic paint to certain figures when they really should not have it. Especially Duke here with his metallic green pants, it just looks really weird. Especially when you consider that his flesh tone is flat, and basically the beige parts on him are also a regular tone of enamel. Guys like Snake Eyes, you can hardly notice that the entire black portion of his outfit is actually metallic. It's really hard to see. And yet they gave him the extra detail of his Arashikage red tattoo on his shoulder here. It's really hard to see, but it's actually there, which is really cool. Kind of like how Storm Shadow has his Cobra logo kind of bisected by his sword there. That's a really cool paint app. And this is a really incredible looking Cobra Commander here. Well, I mean, again, he really should not be in all metallic blue like this. I mean, it kind of works for him because he is kind of a showy kind of a guy, but still, I think he should have been a flat blue. Here's Destro here, if I can get this thing to focus properly. Destro here, you'll have to ignore the red paint on his hand here because that's actually an error, paint splotch from the rest of his red. But you'll notice that they actually painted in the M on his belt buckle. That's his Mars logo, which you only see on the cartoons. Very strange. And then, of course, my favorite, the Baroness, who has a really good paint job on her face. Not only did they do the glasses, they did the eyes and the lips as well. That's very hard to do at this scale. After the initial 6-pack was released in 2021, we got an 18-pack in 2022, consisting of a whole bunch of different figures. But the first 6 figures were the exact same as the ones that we got before. Well, kind of. Let's open it up and see what we got that was different from this set. I'm not sure if this is true for all of the box sets, but on my particular example, the Serpentor name tag is actually a sticker over the printing. It's the same thing with the back of the package. Everyone else is printed except for Serpentor. That's a sticker. I'm not going to rip that off just to satisfy my curiosity, but it's most likely it's either just a typo or they forgot to put the printing for his name on there altogether. And here are 5 from the 6-pack, as well as 5 from the 18-pack, which are exactly the same. Of course, if you want to get nitpicky, there is a difference between the 6-pack and the 18-pack, and that is the copyright date on the bottom of the figure's bases. Clearly they've taken the sculpt of the hooded version and have modified his head for the helmeted version. Very interesting that they've also given him a much lighter blue than the 6-pack version, as this actually corresponds with how the original toys were. The hooded version of Cobra Commander, which was a mail-away, was a very dark blue, and the helmeted version, which was initially a mail-away but also available on card, was always a lighter blue. The 6-pack is the only way you can get a hooded Cobra Commander figure. Not only can you get the helmeted version in this 18-pack, but there's also a 132 scale Cobra Stinger Jeep, which includes this version of the figurine. Out of the 6 new Joes that we get in the 18-pack, we have Barbecue, who is pretty much the only figure that I think looks good in the metallic color scheme, even though the actual figure didn't have that much metallic on him. Then we have Scarlet, who has an unfortunate paint error on her face. I'm sure a good miniatures painter could eliminate that. Next we have Flint, who is in a green shirt, which is reminiscent of the cartoon appearance, rather than most of his other appearances where he has a black shirt. Then we have Lady J, Dusty, Doc, who is in, well, I guess a metallic beige, but he really looks very gold here. And my man, Roadblock. And now for the 18-pack bad guys, we have a Cobra Bats with a red visor, which again is more of a cartoon thing rather than the action figure thing. We have Zartan, a Cobra Trooper who appears to be holding what looks like a Stormtrooper blaster, Serpentor, who again is one of the very few figures which look good in the metallic paint job that Jada Toys has provided. Most of these other figures, I mean, you can't even really tell that some of these figures are metallic in paint because some of them were very dark and, well, quite frankly, rather inappropriate for metallic colors. But here we have Serpentor in an outfit which is reminiscent of his 2008 design rather than anything earlier than that. Very strange. And here we have Firefly, dual wielding for some strange reason. He also has a paint splotch on his knee, which kind of makes it look like he's ripped his pants. It's kind of funny. I think I would keep that. And of course we have Cobra Commander again, whom I failed to mention that even though his helmet has changed from the hooded version from the 6-pack, he also has a black cape, whereas the hooded version had all red. So my overall thoughts are relatively positive, but would I keep these? Well, no. The fact of the matter is that these are nice, heavy, very metallic looking figures. They make nice gaming pieces, but as for just like standalone little pieces, they just don't have the quality, like the fine paint art. And I'm sure that somebody who is into modeling or miniature gaming could really bring these things to life. But in my opinion, you'd have to get rid of the metallic paint on these. So when I saw these at Toy Fair back in, I think it was 2019 or 2020, I saw the prototypes and the colorized mock-ups of these things, and I was really excited because I do like die-cast miniatures of military vehicles, and, well, die-cast miniatures of G.I. Joes is a great hit for me. And then I saw their size, which isn't compatible with anything other than Micro Machines or other Jada Toys miniatures, which, why would I collect that? I want these side by side with other military stuff, either 1/64 scale, like Hot Wheels, or something like 132 or something like that, where it would be compatible with larger, the more expensive like Matchbox or Corgi stuff. Trying to get this open and see what this is. These measure about 1.5 inches long, or about under 4 centimeters long on average each. His tank being the smallest one, but it was always traditionally a kind of a squat vehicle. Again, these are really quite nice in their implementation for something of this size. I mean, they're all metal, except for the wheels. Those are plastic, but the rest of this stuff, it's all metal. Even like the turrets and stuff, the bases, it's all metal. This one is bolted together, whereas this one has a bolt and a screw, which is kind of odd. Yeah, and they all have like working wheels underneath them. They do roll. Well, this doesn't roll very well. Strangely enough, the half-track rolls really well, and yeah, I would say the half-track actually rolls far better than any of the other ones, but oh, there you go. That's really nice detail, like the G.I. Joe logo on the back of the turret on this guy. And of course the Snowcat Angry Lion, or whatever it is, on this one. Overall, I mean, if you like Micro Machines, or you collect Micro Machines, this would be a good addition to that. But honestly, I would rather have had a single 1/64 scale vehicle rather than 3 rather small vehicles which go with nothing. That being said, this is what I would really have preferred come out. This is a 1/32 scale VAMP. And of course on the back we have the promise of a 1/32 scale his tank, which is not what came out after this, but I'll get to that in just a second. And you can see that this actually came with a figure which is kind of in scale, another Duke. So that's like the 3rd Duke that you can get just kind of floating around if you're collecting all these Jada toys. But let's get this thing open and see whether my dreams have come true. Okay, I'll admit, I'm really happy with this, rather than anything else that I've reviewed so far. This is exactly what I would have wanted out of Jada Toys. This 1/32 scale vehicle. It has rubber tires, which is really, really surprising, and, well, a nice surprise. Anyway, the body is metallic. This is kind of light, because there's a lot of plastic on here, but I can kind of understand that, because there's a lot of really fine stuff, like the roll cage obviously would be made out of plastic, and same thing with the guns. I'm kind of surprised that the base is made out of plastic. I would have thought that would have been made out of metal, but oh well. Interestingly enough, the gas cans at the back are not removable, or at least they're not supposed to be. It's hard to see here, but they actually have like a little pinion here. So if you got rid of those and just shaved them off, I'm sure you could just remove the gas cans. I think they're also one molded piece, so you'd have to cut them in half. But again, that's not something which really would really hurt the look of the gas cans. So I'm kind of surprised that they made them like a single piece to lock in there. But oh well, whatever. It's an easy modification that you can do. And of course, the guns elevate and depress and rotate, and they look like the old VAMP guns. Now, if you're thinking that something is kind of odd about this, the one thing that's really kind of strange about this vehicle, where is the G.I. Joe logo? Normally it goes on the bottom here, on the side sills, but there isn't any. Now granted, I mean, if you look at this thing, if you know anything about G.I. Joe, you know this is a G.I. Joe vehicle, or at least it's a fantasy military vehicle. But still, how could you forget to put the G.I. Joe logo on this thing? That's kind of crazy. Anyway, I'm actually so happy with that. I actually don't really care. Somebody with like a G.I. Joe sticker from Toy Hacks or something like that, yeah, that's an easy fix. it rolls really well with those rubber tires. So I'm now actually looking forward to actually getting more of these 132 scale. And I say more of them when there's only 2 more of them ever released. And I don't think Jada Toys is going to continue on with this. They've already abandoned the figure, so I'm pretty sure that they will abandon the 132 scale stuff. That being said, as you can see on the back of this thing, they come with figures which do not sit in the vehicles. That's more of a Jada Toys thing. As a matter of fact, a lot of toy companies, even Corgi kind of does this, with these little static army men to go beside them. And while most of them are like appropriate, like when they make a Batmobile, there's like a Batman or a Robin or both beside it, which cannot fit into the vehicles, I kind of wish they had just gone the extra effort to make appropriate figures for these vehicles, because all of the vehicles that they've made so far came with unique drivers, but they just reissued the same figures that you get in the other packs, which is really unfortunate. Another really weird thing is that they released not the His tank shown on the back of the box, but they first released the Stinger 4x4, which is basically a redone Vamp, and it shouldn't be. A Stinger should be a redone Vamp Mark II. So the Stinger is actually missing the shovel on the front fender. There's a lot of other little details which are unique to the Vamp, but not the Vamp Mark II. And of course, I am looking forward to that His tank. I'm sure that His tank would be a strong seller. I know that I can really get these on the aftermarket fairly cheap. Oh well, maybe there will be a part 2 to this video where I'll show the Stinger as well as the His tank. It'll probably be a very short video, but hopefully it'll be a happy one. Because like I said, out of all of these things, I really do like the smaller die-cast vehicles. They're really well done. This particular Vamp is actually quite a bit darker than what the original would have been. But I'm actually kind of glad, because this is a very military olive dark green, rather than the sort of light apple green that the original would have come in.